System unstable. Like and subscribe.
I didn't buy the baby monitor to sleep. People think that's why we get them. To rest. No. I bought it because I didn't trust silence. The apartment was too quiet after Lily came home. She was perfect. Tiny fists, warm milk breath, that soft newborn squeak. But the quiet around her was wrong. My ears kept searching for what they weren't hearing. So when I saw a secondhand video monitor at a Saturday yard sale, $10, still in its box, I grabbed it like water in a desert. The box smelled faintly like a garage. Cardboard, oil, old fabric. The woman who sold it to me never looked me in the eyes. She just said, "It works," and put the money in a Tupperware and went inside. That night I set it up on the dresser, angled toward the crib. The feed came through, grainy green-black night vision. I could see the tiny rise and fall of Lily's chest. I could see the mobile shadows. I could see the empty room around her. And I could hear a hum. Not static. Not exactly. A low, breath-like tone in the speaker. If I turned the volume all the way down and pressed my ear to the plastic, it sounded like someone whispering from a far room, too soft to make out words. I told myself it was the power supply. I told myself a lot of things in those first weeks. The first time I heard the lullaby, I thought it was the fridge. It was the kind of tune that lives in bones. 4 notes up, 3 down, slow, older than radio. The apartment didn't have it. The monitor did. I sat up. The screen showed Lily asleep, one hand up by her ear like she was adjusting a halo. "Hello?" I whispered, because new mothers whisper to machines if it keeps babies sleeping. The lullaby went on. The mobile turned on its own. The AC was off. The window was closed. I stood, hard in my throat, and crept to the nursery door. The monitor timestamp read 0237 in soft digital numerals. I opened the door. The lullaby stopped. Only the warm, milk-sweet dark and the heavy quiet of a sleeping baby. My eyes took a while to adjust. The dresser, the hung onesies, the chair, the crib, the space under it that I had never looked at because why would I? Clean wood floor, blank wall, nothing, movement. Not a scuttle, not a shadow flutter, a slow rock, like someone shifting their weight to keep blood in their legs. I stepped closer. My hand found the light switch, but didn't press it. Instinct said, "Don't." My eyes burned from trying to make shapes out of dark. Then the monitor clicked in the other room. The lullaby resumed, sharper now, closer. 4 notes up, 3 down. The exact speed of a mother swaying a weight at chest height. I crouched and looked under the crib. Nothing. The crib skirt just breathed once with the AC kicking on and settled. I told myself postpartum brains can do this. They can make a quiet room into a mouth. I didn't sleep the rest of the night. I watched the screen until the numbers rolled over to 3 o'clock, and then 3 o'clock and 1, and the world felt safe again. The next day, I cleaned under the crib, because that's what you do when you're scared of a place. You tidy it. I vacuumed. I wiped. I put a soft blanket down so Lily wouldn't chill if she rolled. I placed her stuffed rabbit under there, on purpose. I don't know why. Like a small witness. That night, at 2:37, the lullaby leaked through the speaker. I walked to the doorway. The rabbit wasn't under the crib anymore. It sat beside the crib leg, upright, facing in, ears angled like it was listening. I went in. The air had that weird cold-through-warm feeling that happens when ovens are turned off, but the room still remembers heat. I picked up the rabbit. It was warm, like it had been held. The monitor on the dresser panned a few degrees to the left on its own. Its motor made a tiny servo whine, then returned to center and stayed there. No, I said out loud. To the same air you say prayers to. The next morning I found a ring of things under the crib. The rabbit, 2 pacifiers, the burp cloth, my sock from the day before. They formed a neat circle, maybe 8 inches wide, with the blanket at the center like an altar. I took a photo. I deleted it 5 minutes later because it felt like an invitation. That afternoon, I called the number on the sticker at the bottom of the monitor. The company had changed hands twice. That model's been discontinued, the support rep said. We don't have firmware for anything older than 2019. What about serial number 08EV? Ma'am, I'm not seeing anything under that prefix. Then why is it on the label? Silence. Then, it might be a store batch ID. Which store? Ma'am, I'm not authorized to... I hung up. The lullaby crept into my head anyway and nested. On the third night, fear made me practical. I moved the monitor to the living room and aimed my phone at it to record the feed. If the camera lied, the phone would catch the lie in the act. I made decaf. I waited. 2:34. Breath. 2:35. Mobile shadows. 2:36. My eyes hurt. 2:37. Lullaby. The phone picked it up as a thin line of audio. On the screen, Lily stirred. The blanket under the crib dimpled as if knees lowered onto it. The crib skirt drifted in a draft that didn't exist. A pale shape gathered at the baseboard, like steam, like breath on a mirror. It rose to the crib level and pressed there, hands I could not see shaping the curve of the mattress. Not a push, not a test, a touch. My breath shivered. Who are you? I said to the screen. The monitor speaker's static formed a sound. It wasn't a word until it was. Mine. I should have called someone then. The police. A priest. My mother. Instead, I went to the box the monitor came in, because sometimes the thing you need is not help but a label. Under the cardboard flap, there was a warranty card that hadn't been mailed. A name written in blue pen, in careful, decent cursive. Evelyn Moore. March 27th. No year. Just the month and day. I Googled her. There were 3 women by that name in the county. One had an obituary from 3 years ago. She'd been 26. The obituary didn't say how. A family Facebook page did. Stillborn. Gone with the angels. God needed her first. A week later, there was a small notice in the paper that no one commented on. I read it 3 times before I understood the sentence through the polite language. Evelyn died the following week. From grief, a friend wrote. I looked at the number on the monitor. 2:37. The lullaby still threading through the hiss. My Lily slept, her lips parted, suckling a dream. It wasn't finished, I said to the room. The monitor panned on its own and held Lily like a gaze. I began to hear the lullaby in the wrong places. In the fridge motor, in the water heater clicking on, in the distant air brakes of a truck. The apartment had 2 hums now, the one we made and the one that arrived at 2:37. I told myself to be rational. I set up a second camera, old tablet, cheap nanny app, facing the nursery door and hallway. If anyone was in my house, it would show. If no one was, that would show too. Night, numbers, breath, 2:37. Camera 1, the monitor feed, showed the crib, the mattress sinking as if a weight had settled very gently on the edge. A line of hair, like dark smoke, lifted from below and laid itself along the sheet near Lily's head. Camera 2, the hallway, showed the nursery door closed. The hall was empty. The angle caught my bedroom door, open a crack. I could see the corner of my bed, and I could see me, asleep, on my side. One arm extended toward the empty space where my daughter was not. I watched for a long time. I rewound. I watched again. When I checked a third time, camera 2 showed the door open and me standing in the nursery. Back to the camera, head bowed over the crib like I was praying. My shoulders moved minutely. I was humming. I paused the video. I looked down the hall. The nursery door was closed. The air smelled like lavender detergent and warm plastic. I pressed play. On the tablet, the figure of me raised her head and turned toward the tablet. She didn't have my face. She had my hair, my height, my hoodie. But where a face should have been, there was a blur, like heat in summer. The monitor speaker whispered very softly, "Mine." I unplugged the tablet. I unplugged the monitor. I stood in the hallway with both cords in my hands and listened to nothing for a long time. The lullaby kept going. On the fifth night, I decided to sit in the nursery and not blink. I dragged the chair to the crib and positioned my body like a shield. I tucked the blanket tight. I put one hand on Lily's back and felt the small engine of her breathe. "Please," I said to the dark, "if you're here, if you want something, take it from me." Not her. The temperature slid. It's the only word that fits. Slid, like a pane of ice over a warm sink. My breath became visible. The monitor light dimmed 3 clicks without me touching it. A figure thickened near the baseboard and rose. I saw her the way you see old things, at an angle, out of the corner of your faith. She knelt at the crib and pressed her forehead to the mattress close to Lily's ear. Her hair was long and wet-looking. Her shoulders shook. Her hands hovered, trembling, half closed like she was cradling a weight that had no weight. "Evelyn," I whispered. I didn't know why I was sure. "Please." Her head lifted. She looked at me. Her eyes weren't monstrous. They were empty in the way rooms are empty after the last box leaves. Clean, waiting. Her mouth moved and the lullaby fell out. But between the notes she spoke. She was supposed to be. I did everything right. They said skin to skin. They said heartbeat. They said push. They said, "Please." My throat closed. That automatic clutch you get when you see a child fall in a video. I nodded without meaning to. I understood, without wanting to. "She isn't yours," I said. I made my voice calm, because babies learn fear through us. "She's mine." A long, low sound rolled through the monitor like wind through a pipe organ. It was not a threat. It was not mercy. It was hunger that had learned manners. "Then let me borrow," Evelyn said. The words didn't fit her mouth. They fit the space around her. "No." The lullaby died. The monitor brightened. The red LED a tiny, furious heart. Lily stirred and sighed. Evelyn reached out, fingertip to hair. She stroked once. The monitor white flashed. I couldn't move. When my eyes cleared, the room was again a room. The chair was beneath me, my hand still on my daughter's back. The mic hissed like an exhale and went still. The next morning I called the police because that's what you say later when people ask what you did. 2 officers came in boots that smelled like wet leaves and cold coffee. They were young in the way men are young when they have to be old. They watched the recordings. They fast-forwarded, rewound, conferred. "Could be interference," one said. "Neighbor monitor on the same frequency," the other tried. "It recorded the nursery when the monitor was unplugged," I said. They zoomed the timestamp, April 2nd. The date made me dizzy. I had to sit. "Lily wasn't born until the 3rd, I told them. "That's the day before." The officer's mouth opened and made a shape that wanted to be a smile and wasn't. "Glitches happen." "Do glitches hum lullabies?" I asked. "Do glitches move toys?" He promised to make a note. They left. That night, 2:37 came like a time zone. The apartment folded into itself. Light retreated into the small circles we allow it. I didn't go in the nursery. I couldn't. I sat in the hall with the door closed, forehead to the wood. From inside, the lullaby. From inside, a second sound. A woman crying without breath. And beneath it, like the deepest bass on a cheap speaker, the apartment said yes by settling. Evelyn did not try to take Lily. She did what she said. She borrowed. In the days that followed, I began to lose small things for pieces of hours. My keys were in the fridge. A pot boiled dry. Milk warmed itself. I'd wake from a standing sleep in the hallway with my hand on the nursery doorknob, not remembering standing or deciding or breathing. My phone started saving lullaby recordings, even with the microphone permission off. Photos in my gallery appeared with the timestamp at 2:37 and angles that only made sense from under the crib. In one, my legs knelt in jeans I do not own. In another, a hand with my wedding ring, long pawned, adjusted the crib skirt. I stopped going outside after dark. I stopped going outside much at all. On the 7th day, I woke from a chair sleep with the monitor in my lap, the cord wrapped around my wrist like a hospital band. The screen showed Lily sleeping and something else beyond her. A tiled wall, institutional, with a faded mural of cartoon sea creatures, a plastic bassinet, a white sheet with a blue stripe. A hand, my hand, younger, reaching toward a shape that the camera would not focus on no matter how I tilted it. Something flat and small, swaddled tight, with nothing underneath the blanket but the terrible weight of everything you've ever wanted. The lullaby shuddered to a stop. The screen returned to the nursery. My throat tasted like copper. My cheeks were wet. "Evelyn," I said to a morning with no wind, "I am so sorry." The monitor made a tiny click, almost polite. "Borrowing is over," I said. "It's done." The red LED glowed warmer. I don't know how to describe bargaining with a ghost. It's like arguing with air. You choose your words like stones across a river, and you pray the ground between them is there. I cleaned the nursery again. I placed the rabbit under the crib in the center of the blanket. I sat on the floor where my knees could learn what kneeling is. "Please hear me," I said. "I love her. I am alive for her. I will not give her to you." A long pause. Then the speaker's vinyl whisper, "Mine. She was supposed to be yours once," I said. "But she is mine now, and I am alive." Silence. Then, almost conversational. "Alive? Yes." "Unfair." "Yes," I said, and sobbing started. It did not come from me. "Come back," Evelyn said. "Come back. Wake up." We had the mobile. We had the paint. We had the bag by the door. I know. It hurt. They said push. The clock said stop. I pushed. The clock said stop. The clock... "Evelyn," I said, and my mouth did not know how to hold that name without breaking. "I can't fix that." The monitor's motor moved the camera down. It framed the space under the crib. The blanket rippled, as if a breath traveled the floor. "Borrow," Evelyn said. "A finger? A cheek? A day? No. A night? No. An hour? No." Then the song. Silence. The lullaby existed in my head so completely that when it didn't play, the absence made noise. "You can sing," I said. The red LED dimmed. The mobile turned once, like a clock remembering. From the speaker, so quiet it could have been air passing through an old organ, a new version of the lullaby started. The same 4 up, 3 down, but the rhythm wrong now, broken by grief into pieces that still wanted to be whole. "I will sing," Evelyn said. "I will sing until the clock is kind. I will sing until she looks at me. I will sing until she learns my name." "No," I said, a whisper with teeth now. "She learns my name." The lullaby grew. Not louder. Closer. The screen brightened. The monitor panned. The undercrib space filled with dark like water poured down a hole. The blanket lifted as if hands grabbed it and pulled it toward that dark. I grabbed the blanket. It was warm. It did not want me. "Stop," I said. and my voice remembered that it came from a thing that can lift cars if a baby is underneath. I pulled. The blanket came free. The dark did not like that. It swelled. The crib creaked. "Stop," I said again, louder, not to the dark, but to the idea that I could be polite with sorrow. For the first time, Evelyn made a sound that was not girl or song or please. It was a sound mothers make when they see their child almost die and then not. It was a roar cut short into a sob. The screen went white, then black, then white. The lullaby stopped. The apartment waited. Lily slept. You don't win against grief. At best, you negotiate a ceasefire. For 3 days, the 2:37 hum did not come. I began to hope. I folded tiny clothes and smelled tiny hats, and slept on the floor by the crib like a dog that knows where it belongs. I almost threw the monitor away. On the 4th night, the doorbell rang once, exactly at 2:37. I don't know how I knew it was not the actual door, but I knew. It was a door in the sound of the speaker, the chime thin and far and high, like wind through very old glass. I stood. I walked to the hall. The apartment's actual door was dark and closed. The peephole showed nothing. Back in the nursery, the monitor feed was no longer the room. It was a hallway somewhere else, painted tan, lit fluorescent. On the left, a wooden plaque with the name Maternity in worn gold. At the end, double doors with round windows, closed. The camera moved forward. I wasn't holding it, but it moved, slow and steady. It reached the doors. It looked through the round window. Inside, a figure lay on a bed. Hair tangled, skin sallow and glowing with that sick, holy light hospitals have. A nurse adjusted a sheet. A man with a red face pressed both palms to his eyes. The figure on the bed turned her head. The camera's angle was wrong for her face. It showed only the slope of a cheek and the hollow of a temple. "Evelyn," I whispered. The figure smiled toward the ceiling. "Don't," I said to the speaker. "Don't do this to me." The camera moved again, smooth as a gurney. It passed the nurses. It passed the machines. It slid to a bassinet against a wall. A white card. More. Baby girl. March 27th. No weight, no length, no time. The card had a smear on it the camera would not resolve into ink or blood. The lullaby tried to start and failed. The speaker hissed with throat noise. The camera turned back toward the bed. The figure there had her hands up as if reaching. The man beside her held one hand and said something with his mouth, and I could not hear anything because grief makes rooms vacuum. I pressed the power button on the monitor. It did not turn off. I unplugged it. It did not turn off. The red LED pulsed like a wound seen through gauze. "Enough," I said, to the room and the ghost and the years. "Enough. You can sing. You cannot take." The camera stopped moving. The feed went to static. The red LED dimmed. From the speaker, as if someone had put their mouth right to the small holes and spoken across metal. "Mine." "No." Silence. Then calm, like a note in a ledger. Later. I burned the monitor on the balcony. Plastic smells like old tires when it burns. The screen cracked with a soft, obscene pop. A line of black smoke rose to the night and then thinned, as if embarrassed. I held the cord until heat made it soft, then let it drop into the cheap metal bowl I use for winter plants. I watched plastic bubble and collapse. When the red LED went dark, it did not feel like victory. It felt like a thing closing its eyes to rest. The next night, at 2:37, the lullaby came through Lily's baby mobile. The day after that, it came through the radiator. The day after that, it came with the lights when I flipped the switch. Grief does not need hardware. It needs only habit. I learned to sleep again, eventually, with the song as a ceiling. I learned to hold my daughter and feed her and laugh at her ridiculous faces, and talked to her like a new country learning its language. I learned to hum back, but not the same tune. I sang my own. Mine, I told her. Mine, mine, mine. I meant it like a promise. I meant it like a spell. The city shut itself tight. The streets vanished into whiteness. The world went soft at the edges. I wrapped Lily in 3 layers, and we made a fort of blankets in the living room because the nursery felt like a station with trains returning too often. At 2:30, I made tea. At 2:34, I kissed Lily's forehead and breathed in that warm, sweet steam. At 2:36, the power sagged. At 2:37, the apartment filled with a chorus. Not just the lullaby. Voices. A layered choir of women singing the same 4 up, 3 down, all in different keys, all tired and tender, and so very empty. It came from the radiator, the oven clock, the phone I had turned off, the drains, the metal edge of the coffee table, the thin guitar string of the window frame. Stop, I said, barely sound. Please. The blanket fort rattled as if a large truck had passed outside. Lily squirmed and sighed. Behind the chorus, another sound started. A single voice, close, individual. Evelyn. Please, she said. Please, please. I have everything ready. I have a bag by the door. I practiced the car seat. I hung the mobile. I put the rabbit under the crib so she'd find him. Please, I will do it right this time. Please, I do not know where the words I said then came from. They had weight. They felt borrowed from a mother who had had to be cruel to be kind. She is not an apology, I said. She is not a replacement. She is not a door back to a day. She is her own. You cannot use her to shut something that will stay open. Silence. The chorus thinned. The last hum was the fridge pretending nothing had happened. Then who sings to me? Evelyn asked. So small I almost said me before I thought. The women who came before you, I said. And after. And won't. And can't. And did. All of us. We sing to each other. We pretend it helps. Maybe it does. The blanket fort pinched inward, as if someone had pressed 2 fingers into it. Then it smoothed. Borrow, Evelyn said again. Not as a demand this time, as a question a child asks at a door that is always locked. No, I said. But listen. At 2:37, I will put the monitor, the new one, on the dresser. I will tilt it to the floor. I will put the rabbit there. I will sing. You can sing too. You can watch the rug. You can feel the air move. You can be in the room without being in my child. Do you understand? A long, long pause. Clock, Evelyn said. Yes. Watch the clock. When it says 3 o'clock, you go. She made a sound that was not yes, but agreed to be. We did it for 3 nights. At 2:37, I put the new monitor on, pointed to the rug. I placed the rabbit on the floor. I sat in the chair. I hummed something I made up. The air cooled. The undercrib space grew velvet. A shadow-like hair pooled there and did not touch anything. The lullaby threaded under mine like the bass you don't notice until you can't dance without it. At 3 o'clock, the air warmed. Nothing left the room because nothing had entered. I said thank you to the place where the baseboard met the drywall. I put the rabbit back on the dresser. I slept. On the 4th night, at 2:35, Lily woke with a scream that had no air in it. The kind that makes a mother move without having a body. I lifted her, felt heat, fever. The monitor on the dresser glowed. The red LED was brighter than it should be. Not now, I told the air that had learned language. The lullaby started anyway. I carried Lily into the living room. The tune followed through the walls. I laid her on my chest. It pressed close. I dialed the pediatric nurse line with shaking fingers. The hold music braided the lullaby into itself. Stop, I said, and I said it not to Evelyn, but to the habit she had built around us. For the first time, the apartment obeyed me over the song. The hums wound down. The red LED dimmed. The air warmed with the force of new effort. Lily's cry settled into a tired, wet whimper. I counted breaths. I timed fever. I put my cheek to her hair and remembered that love is not always soft. Sometimes it is a serrated knife you hold by the blade because the handle is gone. We did not do the ritual that night. We did not do it the next night. When we returned to it, it was different. The air was cooler, the shadow smaller, the lullaby quieter, the notes cracking in the middle like old wood. Good, I said. Good. Evelyn did not answer. That too was good. Months passed. Lily learned to laugh like metal wind chimes. She learned to roll. She learned that my hair is not a toy and forgot it daily. The world filled itself with normal. We moved the crib to make room for a bookshelf. Behind it, on the wall, were small marks in pencil. Lines an adult's hand would make, steady and modest, like tick marks measuring height. 3 of them, each with a date, 03/27/0237. Mine I sat on the floor until the numbers stopped swimming. I took the pencil from the kitchen drawer. I drew a 4th line. I wrote 3 o'clock. I wrote no. I put the crib back. I went to the dresser. I unplugged the new monitor. I put it in the drawer with the other ones, melted cord and ash. That night I listened to my child breathe without an eye between us. I slept. At 2:37, the kitchen faucet turned on by itself. The water ran for exactly 23 seconds. It shut off. The pipe sighed. I said into my pillow, "I hear you." No song answered. You asked for terror. You wanted escalation. You want to know if I won. You know the answer. Nobody wins. We keep each other from losing too much. I do not have the monitor anymore. I put the old one, the melted shell, in a paper bag and took it back to the yard sale street. The house was empty. The grass had learned to climb the porch. I left the bag on the step in case, I told myself. They still lived there in a way mail recognizes. A week later, I saw the same monitor on a neighborhood Facebook group. Vintage baby cam, the listing said. Works great. Free. The photo was my monitor. My scratch on the side. My fingerprint in ash near the battery latch. I reported the post. It stayed. 2 days after, it was on Marketplace. Then Craigslist. Then a photo from a mom group in another city. Scored this at Goodwill. The red LED glowed in her photo. She didn't see it. I messaged her. She didn't respond. At 2:37 that night, I went into Lily's room and sat on the floor and put my hand under the crib. The blanket there warmed as if a hand from the other side pressed to mine. Please, I said to a woman I had never met and met every night. Not them. Not their baby. The apartment held its breath. Then let it go. The next morning I woke to a DM request from a stranger. Hey, dumb question. Have you ever heard a monitor sing? The profile photo showed a woman with red-rimmed eyes and a newborn. The caption under her most recent post read, "Home. Finally." I stared at the message until the letters blurred. My phone screen reflected a face that was mine and older. Yes, I typed and erased and typed again. If it sings at 2:37, tell it goodnight. Set an alarm for 3 o'clock. Do not let it keep you past that. If it asks to borrow, say no. If it begs, say no. If it offers to make things easier, say no. If it cries, sing back. Your song, not hers. A minute passed. 3 dots. No reply. The message stayed there, like a prayer pinched in a book.
System offline.